The next one we're going to do now is we're going to remove some of this material. We're going to have a look and see what's underneath. More parts are available, such as key cutters and belts and things like that. Not that you'll probably never need them, but are available. First thing we're going to do with this machine is make sure the power's off. As you can see, it is. We're going to move this top cover here using a Phillips head. One screw, two screw. When we put them on, we're going to make sure they're nice and tight, same way as the way we remove them. You can even put a little bit of Loctite on there if you wish as well. So there's our top shield, and from here you can see there is a hole in the back. You would rotate the spindle until you can find the drop-in hole, and that's actually locked the spindle. So now you can remove your cutter and your buffer. Using two adjustables. Normally this one is a standard thread, normally this one is a left-handed thread. So what we'll do first is we'll just do this one here. So if I was tightening, I'd be going that way, which means tightening should be going this way. So I'm going to try and loosen it. So you'd use something quite solid in here to lock this spindle. Okay. It takes a little bit of force there. Once again, they most likely have used some sort of little bit of Loctite on there. Most likely isn't necessary because it is a reverse thread. And that is our cutter. Nice quality cutter. Now the specifications on this are 60 by 12, so that's 60, that's 12, and 7 times 5 times 40, and then times 72 teeth. Part number 3015. We can replace our cutter, put it back on, reverse thread for the nut. Make sure you feel it in before you start tightening it into position. Don't use any tools until you can feel that the thread is completely tightened. Then you would tighten it back up. It will tighten itself as well. When the motor spins, it will actually do the reverse and tighten. Keeping that in there, we're going to go around and we're going to do the buffing wheel now. Now this should be a standard thread, which means I'll tighten in this direction, I'll loosen in this direction. So we're just going to quickly loosen that off. Make sure that's in there all the way. Loosening it off. Removing it. And there we have our buffing wheel. Very fine nylon buffing wheel. Does a great job of buffing keys. Pushing it all the way back on. Doing it by hand. Making sure that's in there nice and tight. Tightening it back up. Removing our spindle lock. Testing it. It's a good idea right now before we put the shielding back on to put power to it and see that both of these are spinning true, which we'll do now. Power supply, we're just using a standard battery power supply. I'm going to plug it in. Indicated that the LED here has power. So I'm just going to turn this on. I'm looking for any vibration, any wobble, where these two are not true and not centered. And as you can see, everything's true and everything's centered. Removing power, and we'll go to the next step. So now that that has been done, we can put our shield back on. Making sure that's nice and centered, nice and tight as well. We don't want that vibrating loose. Okay, flipping the machine over. Don't want to do any damage here, so we're just going to do this nice and carefully. underneath you can see it has all the screws. I'm going to quickly undo those just to give you an indication of what is inside this machine. So I'm not undoing the ones with the foot stops, I'm undoing the other ones. There is a belt in here which is a replacement item, but you'll very rarely need to have to replace that. If you do, you'll most likely have to loosen the motor off. Do what I'm doing now. It's also a good idea as well, once every few years, to undo it and clean out any brass that might have accidentally gotten inside. Oh, there was our hidden screw. So the construction of this machine, you can see, is extremely good. Here is our 12-volt motor. This is running at 13 amps and 1650 RPM. Now, to remove this belt, we would need to loosen the 4 screws on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, allowing the motor to move. We would then need to loosen this one, loosen this top carriage off. Actually, what we might do is we might just quickly do it, save having to do it later. There, we remove that one. And we need to remove this. So if that's tightening, that would be loosening, anti-clockwise. This is a standard thread. Now, these machines are very easy to work on compared to other key machines. Now, we should be able to get this part out here. So just looking for where the actual attachment is for that. There it is, right there. It's our belt cover. Always take care when you do this not to damage, bend the machine in any way. Okay, and there we have our belt. So we have a number of different ways to do this. The first way is I would loosen off these 4 screws, allowing the motor to lift up a little bit. Then I would take this belt, lift it over this lump here, take it off, and then put my new belt down through there, put it around the motor, push it back, push it over, pull the motor down, tighten it back up so the belt has this much tension, as you can see, and then reassemble it. So you will probably, depending on the amount of keys, you'd very, very rarely replace a cutter like this. I have another machine, been using it over almost 15, maybe 18 years. We never have to do the cutter yet. These buffing wheels do wear out, depending on how you use it, maybe once every 2 or 3 years. The belt you shouldn't have to replace, but if you do, maybe once every couple of years as well. Depends on how you use the machine. If you use the machine too heavy and you jam your key into the cutter, it will create more stress, more tension on the actual belt. But if you use it nice and easy and you come in, you cut little bit by little bit, it will last a very long time. So that is how you get to the belt. Now I'll quickly just reassemble it. Okay. The last final check. Apply power. And that's right to go. So that is how you service and repair the GL-320. Thank you.